giving him that gift. I'd like to call up a friend, a Valley. What do we call ourselves? Valleyites? Valleyers? What is it? Valleyans? Valleyans. Alissa Brenner, where are you? There we are. Meet Alissa, for those of you who don't know her. Alissa has been a part of Valley for over a year now?
Almost 2, yeah.
Almost 2?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. I've been here 2 years, so I didn't realize that we came around the same time. But I remember when you came because you came from another Bible study.
Yes, I did.
We're grateful to have you. We're honored to steal you. And we are so blessed to have you a part of Valley, and you serve so many of us so well. And it's just an honor to get to know you a little bit more and let other people get to know you. So, Alissa, you grew up at Grace Community Church.
Yes, I did. I am born and raised in this church. My mom, I think, was also born and raised in this church.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
My grandparents actually, so back when Grace first started and the children's ministry was meeting in the chicken coop, my papa was teaching the children's ministry in the chicken coop. So
wow.
That's how long I've been here.
Now, did it coincide, the chicken coop that Grace Bookstore started in? Like, were there 2 chicken coops? One was the kids ministry and one was the bookstore?
Well, I wasn't actually there, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you have any history from, your fam.
I think it was probably the same chicken coop.
It was the same chicken coop. We inherited, the bookstore inherited it from the children's ministry.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you go way back. And your dad also came here very early, and he got saved, right, here at Grace?
He got saved so he actually was raised in a Catholic family.
Okay.
And his friend invited him to Bible study one night, and he started going consistently and then was saved through that Bible study.
Wow,
but it was a Bible study of Grace. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. And so you... born and raised in a Christian home. A lot of times people think, wow, what a blessing it is. And it is a blessing to grow up in a Christian home. But a lot of people's perception is, wow, they've been a Christian their whole life because they've, every week at church, every week at Bible study, they memorize verses. And so they're obviously a Christian because that's how you become a Christian. But talk about it.
Yeah, so I definitely was one of the kids that was answering all the questions in small group, and my sister actually was funny. She was my small group leader when I was in juniors, and I remember her one time saying, you always want to answer third. You want to be the third person to speak during small group, because then you can combine the 2 people before you answer, and that's definitely what I did. But yeah, so I grew up at Grace, and I was definitely a kid who pretended that I was the perfect child, and I got along great with my parents. I behaved really well at church and at home, but when I was at school, it was a completely different story. I was very mean to people. I had a lot of hatred in my heart, and
you were a bully, weren't you?
I was a bully. I was a very mean person.
It was like Mean Girls.
Lord, that was a long time ago. But yeah, so it was definitely it was a bad cycle, and I was this is just elementary school too, so it's I was just a meanie. I wasn't a good person. But at home and at church, nobody would have known that other than Aubrey, because Aubrey always saw right through me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so that was basically how I was before being saved. Definitely I feel like hatred probably defined a lot of my life, and I just had a lot of anger and a lot of just unhappiness with life, even at such a young age. And I think that's just purely the sinful nature and my specific sinful nature. And but yeah, that was definitely before being saved, that was all that was my life.
So did you think that you were a Christian at that time, or were you yeah, probably am not, because look at my hatred. I know the hatred in my own heart.
I don't think that I actually ever really thought about it.
Okay.
I think that growing up in the church, Grace is so blessed to have such amazing theology and so many great teachers. But I think a lot, since I was growing up in it, I just I thought of it as school, and I thought of
Yeah.
it very educationally and never actually applied it to my own life.
Hey, we some of us in here feel the same way today, right? We think of church as just purely educational, purely theological, filling up our heads. But Paul says, be careful, knowledge puffs up. Okay, so keep talking about that.
Yeah, so, yeah, definitely. I was never really applying it to my own life. I wasn't, it wasn't like a spiritual reality for me. It was just very much like, oh, yeah, like that's the thing that we do on Sundays. And like I go and like I got to get all the answers right. I got to be perfectionist. And I have to make everyone think that I'm this great thing that I'm not.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I was really young, so I don't think that it ever like really processed that I was living a second life or that I wasn't like being true.
Yeah, so when was that? When was it that you were like, whoa, this is not, like, I'm not in. I'm not one of his.
Yeah, so in 6th grade, I went to my brother's baptism at a different church. And on that night, another girl was getting baptized, and she, while she was giving her testimony, started talking about her sin, and she just broke down in tears over her sin. And me as a little 6th grader being like, why is she crying? Like, what the heck? I don't understand. And then the Lord just opened my eyes to the reality of how horrible sin is, and specifically my own. And it wasn't just an educational thing. Like this is something that I actually had to pursue, and this is a relationship that I had to pursue with Christ.
Yeah.
And my sin was becoming a barrier between having a relationship with Christ. And that was the night that it just kind of became reality for me. And I was like, oh, wow, like I'm a sinner. And I actually do a lot of horrible things. I'm living a double life. And I went home and I went to my room and I prayed, and God saved me that night. And that was amazing.
Yeah. Titus 3:5, not by works of righteousness, which we have done, but according to his mercy, he saved us by the washing of regeneration and the renewal of the Holy Ghost. So you obviously, you knew that you were living double life, and you came face to face with not just God weighing the bad and the good, and he was like, oh yeah, you've got mostly bad, so now you have to clean up. It was, no, my perfect standard is perfection. And there's nothing you could have done to muster up good works or a church attendance or memorizing of verses. It was the fact that you could not have that relationship with Jesus because his standard was perfection. And you, by God's grace, got to go to this baptism and hear that testimony of, wow, I am guilty. What a mercy that God provided that night. So talk about your life since then.
Yeah, so I was very young. So although God did save me that night, I wouldn't say that I had the maturity to like pursue wisdom and pursue a relationship with Christ until my senior year of high school. Is that region, and then the following months afterwards, that I just went through a really difficult trial, and I had to learn that I had to actually chase after spiritual truth, and that was what opened my eyes to like, oh wow, this is a relationship. It's not just like it's not just do the right thing. It's like, no, like follow a person, and Christ was there with me every step of the way of that trial, and that's what really like I think set the tone for the rest of hopefully my life. But I definitely sense that I've just been like, yeah, like this is something that I want to pursue, and not just something that I want to live flippantly. Like I want to chase after Jesus. I don't want to just sit back and let him work slowly.
That's excellent. Yeah. So you just described sanctification in a phenomenal way, chasing after Jesus, but also there's him working in you. So yeah, I think that's a really great testimony. Now, talk a little bit about what Valley has meant to you in this process of sanctification.
Yeah, Valley has been a life changer for me. I was going to Canyon Study before, and we're all united in Christ, you guys. But yeah, so I was going there, and honestly, they were great friendships. But I came to a realization that I could be pursuing Christ better in the way that I was treating others, and I don't feel like I was treating my friends very well at that study. And I wanted to kind of start fresh And I'm still very close with those friends at Canyon Study, but Mila and I had a conversation at some point, and we were sitting at a coffee shop, and I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know, like I think I'll check out Valley, and she was like, well, I'll come with you, and so then we came, and we never went back. We first night we were like, oh wow, this is different. Like this, we're not used to this. Like the people here are always talking about Christ. It's very common to see people in prayer together during fellowship, and the messages were just so applicable. And I don't know, I mean, I think I can speak for Mila too, but we very much were like, this is different, we're staying. Like, these are our people. And we went to that retreat as well that year. Retreat was 2 weeks after our first day at Valley. And on retreat, it was all about what kind of people you want to surround yourself with and what kind of people you want to be. And we just, on the entire ride back for 2 hours, we were like, this is the place, these are the people, like, this is where we want to be. And yeah, it's been such a blessing since then. Like, every relationship that I've had here has been so amazingly helpful and such a blessing to me. And there's so many people that I could point out that I just amazing examples of wisdom and grace and love, and I just love every single one of you guys. So thank you.
You have been a blessing to us, and we love you very much. So let's thank Alissa. And if you don't know her, get to know her. She's a blessing to us. And once again, let's thank DK for leading us.